Okay, so New York City. We all think we know it, right? From the movies, the songs, all those iconic postcards. But what if we looked at it not as a place, but as a system? A really complex machine, one that's running on pure ambition, intense pressure, and just the relentless momentum of over 8 million people. So let's get in there, let's deconstruct that machine and really see what makes it tick.
We've all heard this one, yeah? It's the classic tagline. But you know, never sleeps, it doesn't quite capture the whole picture. The city doesn't just stay awake, it runs. It's in constant motion. And if we can figure out what fuels that constant motion, that's the key to understanding New York itself.
So you've got two different versions of the city. On one side, there's that postcard view we all know, the skyline, the yellow cabs, the famous landmarks. But on the other side, you have the system. These invisible flows of money, of power, of people that are actually making the whole thing function.
That's what we're doing here. We're going under the hood. We're going to see how these raw ingredients, human ambition and just plain physical limits, how they combine to create one of the most powerful megacities in the entire world.
So where does a system like this even begin? Well, it starts with its most fundamental input, people. New York was never, ever designed for stillness. It was built for arrival.
I mean, from its earliest days, the city's very DNA was coded by people showing up. Immigrants didn't just move to New York, they literally built the place. And this constant, nonstop influx means the city thrives on the energy of all that diversity. But that energy also creates friction. It creates this constant competition for space, for jobs, for just getting a foothold.
And this quote really speaks to a core idea here. You don't get handed the keys to New York City. You have to enter it. You have to claim your little piece of it. And in doing that, you actually remake the city. Just a little bit. Every single new arrival rewrites a tiny piece of New York's code.
Okay, so this constant arrival leads us to the next layer of the system. You have all these people landing on an island with a very finite amount of space. So what happens when you just run out of room?
The city really had no choice but to build upwards. That iconic skyline we all know, it's not just about ambition or aesthetics. It's a practical solution to a fundamental problem of geometry. It's a survival strategy. And that strategy has come to define pretty much every aspect of life there. And this is where you see the central paradox of density. Living so close to millions of other people, it absolutely fuels incredible creativity and opportunity. But that very same proximity, it amplifies everything else. The stress, the noise, that feeling that you're always in a race. It's both a creative engine and a pressure cooker at the exact same time.
This physical constraint creates this economic reality you just can't avoid. Every single square inch has a price tag. Where you can afford to live, to work, to even just exist, that dictates your entire experience of the city.
And this intense, dense environment, well, it creates the absolute perfect conditions for the city's economic engine, an engine that runs on pure, uncut ambition.
Just think about it for a second. Decisions that are made in a single building in Manhattan can send ripples through global finance. They can shape what the entire world watches on TV or even tell you what clothes you're going to be wearing next year. This place is a command center, and the work culture there definitely reflects that.
But that high-stakes environment, it really has two faces. For the people who can harness it, the city acts as this incredible multiplier for their ambition, for their talent. But for a lot of others, that relentless pace, those high expectations, they don't multiply opportunity. They just extract energy. They just drain you.
And that's really the core operating principle of this engine. It's a system that is totally optimized for speed, for performance, for results now. Patience, well, patience is a luxury the city just can't seem to afford.
So what happens when a system runs this hot, for this long? Well, cracks are bound to show up. It's constantly under this immense pressure, and that pressure starts to reveal some deep, deep paradoxes in its very structure. I mean, just take the city's infrastructure. The subways, the bridges, the power grids. They're absolute engineering marvels, moving millions of people every single day. But they're also aging, they're constantly being patched up, and they're stretched to their absolute limit. They're massive, sure, but they're also just one little failure away from total gridlock.
And this pressure is also social. Unlike in a lot of other places, the extremes of wealth and poverty in New York aren't hidden away in different corners. They exist side by side, on the same block, even in the same subway car. The contrast is it's right there. You can't avoid it.
And this brings us to a difficult but absolutely essential truth about the system. Inequality isn't a bug, it's a feature. The very same forces that generate all that immense wealth also create these vast disparities, and it's all baked right into the structure of the city.
And yet, something really incredible happens in response to all this pressure. Creativity stops being just a hobby. It becomes a survival mechanism. Self-expression becomes your identity. And somehow, out of all that daily chaos, a unique collective resilience gets forged. The city doesn't soften you, it sharpens you.
So, what's next for a system like this? The pressures that have shaped it for centuries are now changing, and New York is facing a whole new set of, well, existential questions.
The system is now being tested by rising sea levels, by infrastructure that is way past its breaking point, a housing crisis that's pushing more and more people out, and these really fundamental shifts in how and where we all work. Any one of these is a massive stress test on its own. Now they're all happening at once.
And this poses the ultimate question, doesn't it? The city's entire history is a story of constant adaptation. But can it adapt again to these huge modern pressures? And just as importantly, who is going to bear the cost of that adaptation?
So let me leave you with a final thought. We tend to think of systems under this much strain as being on the verge of collapse. But maybe that's just the wrong way to look at it. Maybe megacities, like New York, they don't just break. They are forced to evolve. So the real question isn't if it will survive, but what it's going to become next.